they all had in common was that they thought the Syrian government, like that of Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, and others, where the so-called Arab Spring took place, would fall quickly. So they expected the regime and the government and the whole system to collapse. And that didn't happen. So that's why the language of the new administration has changed. A few months ago, I was in the White House. A few months ago, I was in the State Department. During the Obama's administration, I went there, I met the president. The first word he said in the meeting, we know that President Assad is defending the Christians. He said that President Obama said it to us in that meeting, that the president of Syria is defending the Christians. Now, they were not listening at that time, but 2 months ago when I was there again, they were very attentive, listening, because they realized the major mistake they made by destroying Syria. You know, when Lebanon went through 17 years of the civil war, Syria was not affected. Jordan, you know, was fine. The whole region was fine. But now, when Syria is in trouble, the whole Middle East is in trouble, the whole Europe is in trouble as well. Syria is not a little thing like to take it from us. Syria is the Holy Land. You know, when the newly canonized, the one I met 4 times, Saint Paisius, when he flew from the Mount Athos, from the Holy Mountain, to Australia, he flew over Syria and that area. You know what he did on the plane? He knelt on the plane and he prayed. He prayed that he was flying over the Holy Land. So the Middle East, beloved in Christ, is not politics. The Middle East is not, you know, like just resources. The Middle East is not, you know, anything what we hear. But above that, in addition to that, it is, the Middle East is the place of holiness and many holy people. So that war, they call it civil war, but it is not. So that's why the central government is still there, and they will succeed, and they will stop this kind of violence. They said to me another question: why is the president of Syria is killing the children and the families? I said, why did that not happen until like 6 years ago? And they shut up after that. I said that in the White House. The one thing they all had in common was that they thought the Syrian government, like that of Libya, Egypt, Tunisia, and others, where the so-called Arab Spring took place, would fall quickly. What none of them anticipated was that the Syrian government, despite some need to reform, had a great amount of support from people of all sects, as well as strong outside support from other powerful countries. No one who had ideas for the future of Syria had planned on a long, drawn-out war, but they got the opposite. As a result, terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS gained ground in certain areas and imposed their ideology, their will on villages and towns across rural Syria and in cities like Homs and Aleppo. So-called rebels, as referred to by the West, were merely other Islamic radical groups by a different name and only slightly less radical than ISIS or Al-Qaeda, and truly democratic, Western-oriented groups, if there were any to begin with, were swallowed by these larger and better funded groups early on in the conflict. This background left the minorities of Syria in those areas like the Christians, Orthodox or otherwise, Alawites, Kurds, and Sunnis, who did not have a radical view that agreed with ISIS, in a very precarious position, and left them with two options: flee to government-controlled areas where they were safer and protected, or leave the country. Many chose the former, but many chose the later, creating the refugee problem we are all too familiar with. The Christians went in large part to safer areas in Syria, to Lebanon, where they had family and friends, or to the West, if they were able, where they also had relatives. Listen to this. They asked me in the State Department this question: do you still have family in Syria? I said, yes. We have 2 widowed sisters and many nephews and nieces. They said to me, why did not you bring them here? I said, because you give visas to the wrong people. Now a lady at the table came to me. Her family, she and her husband are here, but their daughters are still there and no one can bring them here. So she is talking to me if I am able to help. I said the United States, the government of the United States never opened the doors for refugees. While in Canada, for example, we brought many families, and I know most of them. And just like recently, a month ago, they stopped that. They shut the door for now to finish all the files and all the applications from 2016 and 2017. When they finish all the files and the applications, I am confident that they will reopen the doors again. But our government at that time, unfortunately, that years. Today, there is a fraction of Christians that there once was before the war. Before the war, about 10% of the population of Syria was Christian. Now, it is impossible to say for sure, but I would not be surprised if there are only 3 to 4% left in Syria, and those that are there would probably leave if they have the chance, not because they want to, but because they are desperate. So even in a best case scenario, the future of Christianity in Syria and other parts of the Middle East is grim. However, we remain hopeful. We know that once people leave, especially to the West, they don't go back. This was true even before the war. We hope that those who only fled to the surrounding countries would return once the war is over. To that end, our Father in Christ, Patriarch John X, is working to open a satellite branch of our Orthodox Parliament University in Lebanon, in a part of Syria known Wadi al-Nasara, Christian Valley. Because now we have thousands and thousands of people fled away to that area.